Big Blue Thumb Productions presents the Podlie Podcast. Here's your hosts, Podlie Bill, Podlie Cliff, and Podlie Paul.
Here we are, Epi 155.
55.
The last time I swung a club was 11 and a half years ago.
We're talking golf clubs here.
Wait a segue.
Are we talking Viking club or prehistoric club?
Sorry, man.
Wait a second.
When was the last time you swung a club, Paulie? And you're on!
And look at this. So William Seltzer signed in at 7:49.
Dude!
Just
William,
to get the points.
we love you, brother. 3,500 points right there.
William, you know we started at 8, hey? That's a lot of seltzer. There, William Seltzer.
2,500 points to Laura.
Lord, 25. Nice.
Feels like she was just listening to us. Oh, you must have been tuned into our radio show then, Laura.
There we go. And Nicole's
thank
Epic
you.
Meals, epically says, hello, lovelies.
Laura, thank you for the support on both counts. Very much appreciated.
And good evening to
William
of course,
Kirkland.
William Kirkland.
Best name, best handle, blah, blah,
Both
blah.
William Seltzer and William Kirkland have the best first names.
Best first name.
By the way, you'd be so proud of me. I made a Star Trek reference on our last show, which I was rather embarrassed about.
But he even shocked himself.
I was kind of shocked
He was in
myself.
shock after he said it.
You'd be very proud of me, Cliff.
Nice.
He said, "Live long and prosper."
Live long and prosper.
But then after he said it, he looked at me and go, "Wait a second.
What the hell did I just say?
That's not Star Wars.
Jeez, I tell you.
Yeah.
So what I asked Paulie just before we went live was, when was the last time you swung a club? And of course, what I meant is, of course, a golf club. And
and you're on.
and Paulie, and then we went live, and Paulie goes, the last time I swung a club was like, so just so you know. Yeah.
And hello there, Leslie Ann.
Hello, Leslie Ann. You're late. All the points are gone.
Well, William Seltzer says, if I'm not 10 minutes early, I'm 10 minutes late. I'm
Yeah.
late. So
I suspect I'm the same way, man.
I usually go by, if I'm not 15 minutes early, I'm 15 minutes late.
There we go.
Whatever that. So you could put any time you wanted.
Yeah,
behind that.
exactly, yeah.
5 minutes, 20.
5 minutes.
If you wanted to get really detailed, 3.5 minutes.
3.75 minutes, yeah. Hello, Marvin.
If I'm late, call the coroner. I'm never late.
Dude,
I'm
If-
legit never late, dude.
yeah, but me, if I'm late, deal with it.
That's right. Wait some more. Wait longer.
If you have to wait, please just wait a little longer.
If I'm late, just wait longer.
Let's wait longer.
We're going golfing on Thursday, the three of us, boys and girls. Go golfing. So
So it's funny, right? I asked my friend Todd. I said, I told my friend Todd. I said, listen, I'm going golf because I went this morning. I was on the course this morning.
you buggers, you both
Nine
went?
holes. I went 9 holes.
Oh man,
So
I'm gonna get my ass kicked.
So Todd and I got rained on pretty good. But anyway, so on the course, I'm telling him I'm going on Thursday night. I said, you are most welcome to join us. However, the caveat is this. You've seen my
We
game.
suck.
You've seen my game. I suspect, because these guys haven't swung a club in a long time either, that it would be rather similar. So the caveat is, if you want to go with 3 rank amateurs, then you're most welcome to join us. If not,
Yeah.
stay at home.
And normally 9 holes takes about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But for us, it might take us 6 hours. So
We'll walk a lot more.
That's because 3.5 hours we're looking for a damn balls. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
And it's at 6:55 p.m. So depending on who's out behind us, I mean, can't be too many. It should be all right. So bring bug spray.
Bring bug spray. So to answer your question,
Yeah.
my boys are 11. In June, it would have been 11 and a half years ago since the last time I was on a course.
Okay.
Just not gave it up because it's damn expensive, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey.
really, you guys, it's expensive. And then I was having twin boys,
There you go.
you know.
I had you beat. I didn't swing a club for just shy of 20 years.
I know you messaged
Right.
me. I'm like, that shocked me because I thought you would go at least twice a year.
No,
right?
I hadn't been in just shy of 20 years.
Wow.
And then I started with this smart photography in 2019. And I was talking to Todd, it's like, because I was talking about motorcycles, because I just started riding motorcycles.
Yeah.
And I'm like talking to him, and he's like, and he hadn't ridden a bike in a long time.
Yeah.
So slowly he started going, oh, I want to ride a bike, right?
Yeah.
And then he started talking about golf. I'm like, oh, yeah. So 2019, I did 9 holes, almost the last game of the season. I did 9 holes at Red Tail Landing,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the first time I saw a club in literally 25, 20 in literally 20,
I've never
almost
golfed
20
that
years.
course. Yeah, I've never golfed that
Yeah.
course.
No, so it'll
For
be
you?
fun for sure. Yeah. So for me, probably about 8-9 years that I can
There we
think
go.
of since the last, and mine was due to a shoulder issue, so I couldn't swing the golf club. And I've been golfing. My dad had me out when I was like 6 years old. He
Yep.
cut down golf clubs
Yep.
for me.
Oh, nice.
And we
Yep.
had a membership at one of the country clubs out here, and we would play every weekend and during the week and every time we could get out. But then, due to shoulder problems, I couldn't swing a club.
Yeah.
So over the past, year, I've been doing tons of physio and exercise and work, and went out. I bought a new set of clubs. Went out to an indoor golf facility in the winter to test it, and felt absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
so I was out again yesterday at the driving range and was hitting the ball nice and solid. And,
Watch Cliffy.
and
We're going to
I'm
call him
feeling really
Bionic
good.
Bill from now on. That's what we're going to do.
And felt great after
good.
hitting
Nice.
yesterday.
Nice.
And it was hitting the ball solid again. And it's there's little things now you haven't played for a while, little quirks and stuff you got to figure out.
Yeah.
Kind of get back into things, but otherwise I was hitting the ball, I thought, pretty well for not having, been on. I was saying to Paul off air that you go to the virtual golf, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's obviously not the same feeling because you can. It's a full swing and you're using your driver and
Yeah.
clubs, but you're hitting into a screen, so it's not being outdoors. You're not really getting.
You don't have all
full
the
feel.
atmosphere. Yeah.
Well, it's not getting the full feel either. Like when you go to even to a driving range, now you're actually hitting. You can see, how straight is the ball going? Are you, slicing it a bit? Are you hooking it a bit?
You
how
get
many
that
yards
sense,
you
right?
get that sense of how you're actually hitting the ball, right?
Oh, Marv. Ouch. Clubs aren't cheap. So sorry that you had yours stolen, for goodness sakes.
Oh, dude.
Not cool.
That is not a good thing for sure.
Nothing wrong with Canadian Tire Special. Hey, tell you what, man, ain't the clubs, right? Well, it is, but in most of the time, it's not the clubs.
Better not be. I was telling Bill the other day, I've got a club from this set. I have got a putter from 15 years ago from my dad. I've got a nine. Better not be the clubs.
Yeah.
And his Canadian Tire plastic bag to hold them all
Better
in.
not be. Better not be.
And Chai says, Cliff, where's your hat? Dude, I'm wearing my bowler. I don't have, what is that? Oh, I don't have a Ravenwood hat. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not in possession of one of those Ravenwood jobbies.
So having said all that, how was your guys' long weekend last weekend? So that's why we weren't on live on Monday night. But how was
Good
everybody's
excuse, eh?
week and long weekend and all that kind of stuff?
Podlie?
It was a gooder, Calgary. I don't ever remember having been to Callaway Park.
Oh, no?
I don't ever remember having been to Callaway Park. In my 48 years, it was. And my kids have gone with my folks every year for the past probably 5 or 6 years. So it was really nice. My kids, took me along and, Papa, here's this, and Papa, here's my favorite ride, and Papa, we eat this.
Oh, nice.
I loved it. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Yeah. So Callaway Park. I'm going to give, can I give kudos to our province? Man, this is cool. We were in Innisfail, just south of Red Deer.
Red Deer.
They have the coolest outdoor zoo, you guys. They
Yeah.
have legit
Yeah.
one lion, one lioness. They have got ostriches. They have got wolves. It is legit.
Nice,
the
really nice place.
coolest thing.
Yeah, really nice place.
Well maintained. They absolutely deal and promote conservation. Absolutely loved it. So we were there for the day. It was
Nice.
Yeah,
it was
nice
incredible.
place.
Go to Innisfail. I want to say it's the Wildlife
Right.
Reserve Park or something like
You
that.
can't miss it.
Go. It's
can't miss it.
unbelievable. So
It's well signed and you cannot miss it.
and it's so well done. It's so well done. So yeah, great long weekend.
So
Great
Marvin
weekend.
says, sorry, just to go back to his comment for a moment. He says he's going with a film group this Thursday. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about golfing. He's going to film some
Performers downtown.
Performers
I'm assuming
downtown.
that's probably
Okay.
Taste of Edmonton, maybe?
Taste of Edmonton.
Nice.
Performers, street performers is on.
Yeah. The last time I tasted Edmonton, it was kind of dusty.
A little smoky
A little
too.
smoky.
Had a
The
really
last
smoke
time I
flavor
tasted
to it.
Edmonton, I lost a lot of money. Oh, it's expensive down there, right?
It's like a barbecue.
Yeah.
Very smoky. So what about you, Cliff? How was the long weekend? And
It was good. It was a chill long weekend, a much needed chill long weekend. Yeah, just I don't even remember what it is we did, but it was pretty much chill for the most part, and a little bit of visiting. I'm just trying to remember now. Yeah.
It was that good.
Yeah,
It
was that uneventful. Thank goodness, I love it. Right? It was that.
Did you go
uneventful.
camping or did you?
No. We just stuck around home and I'm trying to think now because we're busy Saturday doing something. It just went really, really fast, really quickly.
Bingo. Leslie Ann says you went to. Bingo.
No, that was this Saturday. Love. That was like. Was this the long weekend?
This was last weekend. Last weekend was the long weekend.
No, it was last. It was the previous week.
The previous weekend.
Right.
That's
so
right.
listen. This past Saturday, day before yesterday, we did bingo. Gee, what a fun thing to do on a Saturday afternoon. But because Leslie Ann's in the course, as you guys know, and that's one of their fundraising gigs. So Leslie Ann's got X number of spots that she has to do, and being the wonderful husband that I am.
Yes.
Thank you.
You went and helped at bingo.
By the way, this show does have a script. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I went. I always go and help her. So we took, cut 2 spots off the bingo thing, right? So we were replacing somebody or filling in for somebody, and then they'll fill in for us the next one. So Leslie and I were like, get it done with. Over with.
Finished.
Finished.
Do people still yell out bingo? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He says, can you answer that in just that tone again?
With
That was
enthusiasm?
awesome.
Yeah.
That was great.
Leslie Ann, we can tell Cliff loves bingo.
Yeah, you can tell Cliff's a bingo guy.
B-I-N-G-O.
He is dabber happy, that guy. Boy, oh boy.
It's a really strange. I'll tell you what. To each and every one of us, our own entertainment, and not only entertainment, to each and one of us, our own mind distractions and whatnot. So this does not in any way derogatory as far as bingo players go, but it's really a fascinating thing to see a room full of people all basically doing the same movements at essentially the same time. And it's really interesting to sort of sit back and watch. And then you got the dabbers and how they do it, and the person next to them dabs in a different way, and all that type of stuff. Not my gig. I maybe if I did it once, I might like it. I don't know.
You might dabble in it.
I might dabble in it, but I don't. But it's such a strange thing to watch.
Yeah.
And people spend a tremendous amount of money on these little scratchy jobby thingies or whatever you call them. Yeah. So it's definitely from an observer point of view, it's definitely interesting to watch. But yeah, it's not kind of a great gig for a Saturday.
I got you on that because I have in the past, before pre-COVID, I volunteered a lot for my kids.
Right.
Their schools and their stuff like that, and 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Just a very neat demographic to watch. Just a very fun demographic.
And I make it fun. See, that's
but it's the same demographic.
Yeah. See, that's even says, right? He's amazing. Thanks, Leslie. This is why I wanted to read it, because you said, because you said I'm amazing. I mean, why wouldn't you want to read that? But she talks about making it fun. Well, I tell you what, I'm the king of that, right? I torture everybody and just basically run around, torture everybody and have fun with it within and not disrupt their game, right? So I make my own fun wherever I go. So, and everybody else along with it. So that makes it go quicker.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. If you got some sticks in the mud, like I've been working sometimes where you got some stick in the mud.
Had some muddy sticks before.
And then it's like, you're like, seriously, dude, this is a gig we all got to be here. It's like lighten the hell up. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, it's good fun. And, the chorus people are great, right? So
they have to know some bingo players, they take it very seriously.
Very seriously, man.
Professional bingo players. So you don't want to interrupt their rhythm or anything like that.
What I wanted to do is, as the game started, I thought what would be a fun thing to liven up the situation would be some good rock and roll music, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, turn up the music, and then especially the one song, right? 8675309. Yeah, I thought that would be good, right?
Roxy
right? But I don't know. It might mess up the numbers.
Yeah,
it might mess up the numbers.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, excellent. So a little bit of bingo and a little bit of Calgary.
Actually, I miss doing the bingo thing. But then, not doing the bingo thing, but volunteering.
Oh, well, hey, listen, Leslie and I, you can come volunteer with us. I don't know what we did the long weekend. I'm having trouble remembering that far back. But I know we were busy. I had some work to do. Leslie had work to do. So, but nonetheless, man, it was so nice and chill. It was awesome. Not to rush around and good, so it's good.
Laura says she likes bingo, but she is a cheap player.
I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure what that means either.
Yeah.
One card, I guess.
Like what? Oh, one dabber dabber card or something?
One card, I guess. I don't
Leslie
know.
Ann says on Saturday in quotation marks.
Okay, on Saturday.
So, are you still missing something on Saturday?
I'm not sure something, dude. I don't know. That's me. I've been caught up hiring. We're hiring. I'm doing all the screening for the photographers.
I saw that today.
So the screening calls at 10, 15 minutes a call, but then sometimes it takes longer. You find a fun person to talk to or whatever.
Yep.
But some of the people, man, it's remarkable. It's like, they're applying for a photographer position. It says, one of my questions is, how many years experience? They say 6 years experience. And then you go through meticulously go through their resume, nothing on their photography. Now, most people in my situation would go rejected and move on. But for some odd reason, good or bad,
he tortures them.
Good or bad, I'm like, okay, but if you have 6 years experience, I hate to maybe you didn't update your resume, or maybe you didn't know it wasn't updated. So then I'm like, I hate to eliminate them and take away a chance from them. I mean, I don't know these people, but they're human beings and they're people, right?
Yeah.
So I send them a little message, and then they tell me, oh, this is what I have, or this is what I don't have, or oh, I thought you meant something else.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh,
so
no.
yeah. Or you talk to somebody and say they got 6 years of photography experience, and there's like, oh, this one was, I worked for an entomologist, and so I was photographing bugs for these guys, and blah blah. I'm like, you're applying for school photography, right? Portrait photography.
They're little buggers.
Please just stop bugging me.
Little bugs.
Please just stop torturing me and bugging me. So Leslie Ann.
So she's pulling a Nicole thing.
Nicole, I like it. That's what
confused us.
I know, right? I think so. So 1, 2, 3. Saturday. Thanks, Leslie Ann.
By the way,
appreciate that.
By the way, Elton John is now retired. Y'all should
too. You're supposed to say, Podlie, hey, do you sing tenor? You go, yeah. Oh, sing tenor 20 miles away.
That's right.
We'll have to start doing that in harmony.
Yeah,
that's right.
Can you sing solo? You go, yep.
Oh my gosh.
Solo, we can't hear you.
And by the way, after our last episode, which was 154, again, if you like this so much, we will come back for an encore.
If anybody here, for some odd reason, has not seen episode 154, it was pretty much 1 hour of a laugh session, as I remember.
Yeah, it was an encore.
It was an encore. With an encore.
We came back and did an encore.
That's
right.
Oh
so much
my gosh.
We came back and did an encore.
That was a big matzo ball, that one.
The big matzo ball, the moon hit your face.
It was.
Hey, radio stations.
Like a big pizza face.
We do do they still have those around?
Yeah.
Well, you guys have one.
We do. Sorry, I'm trying to bring our topic up on the screen, and for some reason,
but it's not bloody working.
What do you prefer to listen to?
There it goes.
It's not working.
So, what do you prefer to listen to? Standard AM or FM radio stations, online radio, podcasts, or audio books?
And I'd like to know. I'm assuming I know the answer, but I'd like to know, have your listening habits changed? So, are you still listening to AM, FM? Have you found that online radio is more convenient, more entertaining? Do you completely shy away from conventional radio and just go to podcasts? So I want to know what your habits are like.
And one of the reasons I kind of thought about this, even though we were away last week, is another, of course, station in Edmonton dropped. So a sports station, TSN 1260. Was shut down. It was on a Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. So their morning staff was in doing their show.
And all of a sudden,
then they were told at 9 a.m. the plug was pulled. They played an announcement that thanking sponsors and listeners, and that was it. It was gone and done and finito. So,
and with that means everybody from within that particular radio station, not the company, not the parent company, but the radio station, well, they're out of jobs.
Yeah,
is that a chorus station as well?
That is not a chorus station. No, it's not a chorus station.
So they were, everybody lost their jobs. So that seems to be the way radio has worked over the past 3-4 years. You can go in and start doing your morning shift, and all of a sudden, an hour later, management will say, "Okay, 9 o'clock, the plug is pulled. Say goodbye." And
any thoughts as to why?
Well, the big company, of course, is saying it's all due to ratings, and AM ratings especially have dropped.
Yeah, but why? No. Okay, so I know obviously they're shutting it down because of ratings,
yeah,
and not making money. But why do you think the ratings have dropped so significantly?
I would assume it's again because people just aren't tuning in, and if you don't have them, and I'm sure it's due to advertising cost. They're not selling the advertising that they.
But it all goes back to, right? If people are not tuning in, then your ad revenue is going to go down.
Everything drops.
Everything drops. But why? But why aren't people tuning in?
Yeah.
Right? Like I just want to keep on working backwards and keep on asking the question, like why?
Yeah. Is there not an interest in sports radio anymore, or is there not?
Or not just sports, but other stations.
Not just sports
as well. Yeah, a lot of stations as well to cut costs have gone to syndication, so they eliminate their own staff.
Look at WKRP in Cincinnati. I mean, they're gone.
Yeah, they've been gone for a long time.
They're gone.
I'm kidding.
Johnny Fever, we miss you.
That's right.
So here's the thing. I went to radio school circa 2003. 2003, I could almost sense the beginning of the end. In 2003. And what I mean by that is there was more syndication. Now I was still, I wasn't completely green behind the ears because I was DJing as well nights, and I was working with some radio stations and some liquor sponsors who had their ear to the ground and yada yada yada. So I wasn't completely, green. So I kind of knew what was going on, but I went to radio school 2003 and I could sense it there. The syndication. You know what another thing too is, guys, the fact that radio stations are they're not hiring locals. They are not hiring locals.
Okay, but Paul, it's never really been that way though. Radio stations have always.
That is 100%.
If you look at Moose Jaw, look at Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan was the training ground for a lot of the DJs. A lot of the DJs, if you hadn't been through Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, you probably weren't on the air at one time.
Correct.
Right. So and DJs, I mean, hey, I was talking about Cincinnati, WKRP, right, from town to town. Up and down the dial, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of the deal. It kind of always has, especially for AM radio.
It's a completely nomadic industry.
Right.
100% nomadic industry. And I get that. But I think things have changed and people are pining for more local stuff. I think that's what's happening.
Okay, but wait a minute, though. But okay, we're talking about employees being local, but every radio station is always promoting local events and all, maybe not the local music. I think that's relatively.
Well, maybe it's just me.
No, but hear me out though, right? So I get what you're saying, and I agree, right? People looking for local, but for the most part, I mean, I don't see. Chad, for instance, they're talk radio, so they talk about world events. But if anything is Alberta centric or Edmonton centric activities and so on and so forth, they're pretty locally geared, even though they're a big, the big conglomerate Chorus.
Correct.
Chorus is owned by Bell Media, right?
No, Chorus.
Chorus. Okay,
Chorus is Chorus.
Okay, so Chorus, but they're a huge organization.
Oh, they're huge,
right?
They're huge. They're national. Yeah, they're national.
Yeah. So, and I think part of it is obviously anybody that comes to work at any station here, like you said, is now working for that station. They promote the city that they're in, they're local or not. Maybe some of these stations and or companies are not hiring local. Maybe they're just. The talent is not here like it used to be.
Maybe. I'm just curious why though, because all of that is a result, right? Everything that we're talking about as far as local people go, as far as hiring people go, as far as the people in the industry go, as far as advertisers go, all of that is contingent on one thing, which is listenership. So what my question, the crux of it seems to be to me, the question should be, why have people turned away from radio? Like what changed?
Well,
Does that make sense?
The biggest change, obviously, I think, over the years, back in the years, you listened to radio for all sorts of things, right? That was a form of entertainment. It was a form of getting
radio
news,
plays,
information, etc.
Right.
Sure.
But now that you have online radio, now that you have podcasts, and there's so many different things you can tune and listen to, do you really need to sit and listen to a morning show on the radio?
Right.
Do you need to tune into the afternoon show on the radio to get your traffic news or whatever the case you want?
And if you're not interested in that and getting it on the internet, then you can listen to world radio.
Yes.
From anywhere. And given that we're such a melting pot of cultures, I mean, if I'm from Colombia, I might want to listen to a Colombian radio station, right? In which case, I'm not tuning into Ched.
And Laura mentions like XM, so Sirius XM radio, which you have to have a subscription for.
Right.
You get multiple stations from, all over, and multiple shows, etc.
Right.
So, I know there's a lot of people that subscribe to that because it gives you the opportunity to listen to, choose and pick whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
So,
and now we got everything from streaming, right? Spotify and Amazon and all these things, right?
Yeah. So,
the music.
And, one of the biggest hits, and I've heard this from some people that work in radio, is online radio stations as well. Because online radio stations like brownsugarradio.com, you don't have to abide by the CRTC guidelines. You're not tied to that. You don't have to go through the rigmarole of getting a CRTC license. You can...
And there's no content regulation either?
There's no content. We're still, like, our station is SOCAN licensed.
Right.
So, for playing music, but we're not required to play so much,
Canadian
a percentage of
content.
Canadian content and anything like that. So that's hurt a lot of the radio stations as well, because now people, like you said, I can find anything without having to tune in and listen to a particular station for the morning show because I wanted to hear a particular type of music. Well, I can find that anywhere now,
right?
Without listening to, and it hurts those that are. I always have said I get worried. For those kids that are still going, and I went to NAIT as well. For
I just had this conversation the other day.
And for those students that are still taking that program,
why are they still offering it?
They still offer it. And I know actually a good friend of Chai, my wife and I, who we've known for years and years, and even when her kids were little, and she was in broadcasting and on television, is now one of the lead people for that program at NAIT. So I'd be interested in asking her, why
are we offering it if there's no viable employment future?
There's still television opportunities, but if they're going into it for a radio broadcast opportunity, I don't know what's out there. Like it's really tough now to find a position, right?
And even television, like if you're talking quote unquote legacy media, legacy media is in a massive decline. Like we're talking, of many magnitudes of decline. Right. Nicole mentions a good point. She says Chorus is now owned by Rogers. Wow.
Is it?
Wow.
Is,
and who did Rogers just merge with? Shaw.
Know that.
So now Shaw and Rogers and Chorus are all one. Holy jumping Josephine.
Yeah. I like William Kirkland's comment. I remember that as well, William, when 630 Ched was a top 40 station.
You guys are very old.
I remember that.
I'm kidding.
I remember that. I was grade 8 and I did was it grade 8, grade 11? Work experience thing with Ron Clark, and it was a top 40 station in Ched. I remember that.
Ron Clark was my neighbor, so I knew Ron.
Ron's a nice guy. I like Ron. And Jay Hamilton, Jungle Jay, was a really good friend of mine as well. Suffering some pretty major health issues now, but God love him. He's an amazing human.
So again, like I don't listen to the radio a lot now, other than maybe if I'm driving, I might have it on a station. But I still like to tune into podcasts or that kind of thing, right?
And even for news, even for news, I go to YouTube. I watch legacy media like CBC and Global and all these things for the little news bites. But if I want anything in depth, I don't go to them for that. Right? I mean, most of the time, Global or CBC will give you the headline, and then 1.5 seconds of what happened.
They don't delve into the story.
Well, and not even delve. Forget delve. I mean, how about first layer beneath the skin? Right? They don't even do that. And if they do, you don't get all sides.
Right.
So
5,000%.
So I go to independent media because I watch the CBCs, I watch the Globals and the CTVs and everything else. But in order to get the whole picture, I have to go to independent media to see the other side. Right. So I think that's playing a big role in the demise of the legacy media, is that they're not telling the whole story. Right. I mean, people talk about fake news and all. They're not lying when they give you a story. It's just that they're not giving you the whole story.
The whole story.
Or they're not telling you other aspects of the story that are pertinent to the story. Right. So in terms of that, I think legacy media themselves are driving people away instead of pulling them in. Right. If you give me rounded information, good information, if you're talking about, is this a good board, and you talk to only the people that like the board, Well, that's not giving me any information.
Well, it's an objective opinion.
Right. I need
an objective opinion according to who?
Yeah, and if you have a professor of electronics tell me this board is wonderful, then I also expect to hear from a professor of electronics that might give me the opposite. That's how one makes up their mind. But if I only get one story, then they're literally driving me away from the listenership.
Yeah.
Right. So I think much of the blame has to be shouldered by the people actually doing like I don't want like it's like the music too, right? We have to be mandated to play Canadian music. That's 30%. Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
30%.
Why weren't radio stations volunteering?
For those of you who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, maybe you can. Now back in 2003, AM/FM stations were mandated, as per what Cliff said, according to CanCon, Canadian content, they had to play 30% CanCon.
I think the number is still around that.
But
same
why would
percentage.
it have to be mandated, Paulie?
Yeah.
Like why didn't the radio station? This is what I mean about not doing the right thing. Do the right thing, and you'll get people coming.
You'll get people. Right. Build it, and they will come.
But build it right, and you will come.
Yeah.
If all the radio stations would have got together and said, you know what, we live in this beautiful, amazing country, Canada, and you know what, we're gonna ensure that. Hey, we might not make stars, but we're going to give these people the opportunity to be out there in their own country. Had they all done that instead of waiting for the CRTC to mandate it, wouldn't you have felt better about it?
Yeah, you're being forced into it, and if you're a Canadian station, you're going to play Canadian music anyway. So
and can I jump on that, Bill? When we did our radio station in 2020, remember that was a conversation, Bill. When we did our playlist, we said we want lots of Canadian music. We didn't put a percentage on it, but we want lots of Canadian music. Now, we did not want the majority of Canadian music. We didn't want to put a number on it, but we didn't want to focus on Canadian music, but we wanted a lot of Canadian music.
Yeah, but and that's my point, is that if you just do the right thing, then number one, you don't need to get mandated. And number two, most Canadians, if a radio station says, I know it's not the mandate or nothing, but we'd love to give Canadian artists an opportunity to shine. Wouldn't that give you some affinity toward them? Wouldn't you have some loyalty toward them? But instead, they're pushing you away. And I don't understand why they're doing that. Like, shouldn't they be wanting?
You'd think they'd be fighting, especially in today's
listenership
day and age, and the way the market has changed.
No, but instead they seem to be driving us away, right?
They'd be fighting for that for sure. Cliff, take a look at the time there, by the
way. Wow, look at that. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the middle of the podcast. Sorry, I'm out of practice, And last time it was welcome to the middle of the encore.
We did that as well.
Yeah. So I don't know. My as soon as you put this topic up, my question was, why is it diminishing? Okay, because of this, but why is that? But why is that? But why is that? And it actually really boils down to losing listenership. And then the question is, why are you losing listenership? Right. And in my mind, I think much of the media is driving, certainly people like myself, driving us away because we're hungry for good rounded information. Right. I'm a research guy. I'm an information guy. So I take in a lot of information and slowly make up my mind.
Right.
Even if I'm buying a motorcycle or if I'm buying golf clubs, it doesn't matter. I take in a bunch of information from all sides. I mean, even if I like a motorcycle, I'll go try and find a negative review on it.
Well, that's what you want. I do that as well. We do, and my wife as well, right? If we're looking for something, we'll look at it and then we'll go and see, okay, the first thing we read is all the negative reviews.
All the negative.
I don't read the positive ones.
Yeah.
Because everybody can say, this is a great board, like you said.
Yeah.
But I want to read the negative. I want to hear from the people who said, I don't like this board because it didn't do this or it didn't do that.
And sometimes when I get caught up in something, like right now, I bought a used set of golf clubs. They're on their way. I'll get them tomorrow. They're a nice set, I think.
Look at this guy getting ready for this big game on Thursday night.
Oh, yeah, I think.
I'm screwed.
Because I bought my set in 87. Okay. Yeah. That tells you how old I am. But nonetheless, I like these clubs. I like this. I like that. I like this. I like the ball. Oh, I like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yep, those are the ones we're going to get. And I'm a pretty smart guy, so I generally am a good research person. But the moment I decided on it, I'm like, blah, 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 negative reviews. What's wrong with these clubs? Blah, blah, blah. And then I went to all the YouTube videos that said, something negative about it, a con, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden I'm looking back and thinking, pretty good decision, Cliff, because this con doesn't matter to me, or this doesn't matter to me. These are way too expensive. It's overpriced. Okay, but I'm not buying new. I'm buying new, so leave that aside, etc. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you need all of the information.
I did the same thing. I bought a new set of clubs just in the new year.
Yep.
And it's a medium level set of clubs made by Callaway. You were asking me.
Yeah.
But I did the same thing. Before I bought them, I was reading. I wanted to hear all the negative reviews. I went onto YouTube as well. I was researching and because I want to hear what this guy might say. Oh, I don't like the way the grip feels on this club, and I don't like the way this works. But like I said, we do that with everything that we're buying, whether it's something for the house or whatever.
And hey, here's a tip. Here's a tip for Sound Sugar Radio. Here's a tip for CBC, for CTV, for everybody. How come I got to go to YouTube to find these reviews? Why doesn't the legacy media take on saying, hey, listen, every Tuesday we're gonna do a review on the best Tupperware available. I don't know, like pick something.
Dude, let's do a review show on soundsugarradio.com.
Do it. There's an idea for you guys.
There we should.
Right?
And is Tupperware still available? I guess you can still buy it. Can you still buy it?
Yeah.
The guys that used to go door to door selling.
I don't know. My grandma.
And if you need a guest reviewer to tell you about certain golf clubs, or a certain motorcycle,
Cliff will be the guy.
You can call me for that. But if I were you, if I were doing your radio station,
that's a great idea.
I would tell you to do a review show, to do what you like. And like I said, hey, maybe get guests on. Maybe get a guy that's just done a lot of research on something. Like maybe you or me for golf clubs or whatever, skewers, whatever it is, and maybe do that. And CBC and all these other radio stations, instead of driving people away, why don't you give us a nice rounded story? Everything from political to the financial to world events. Yeah. I mean, right now I wouldn't know about a lot of world events if I didn't go to independent media. Like how many in absolute honesty right now, tell me, do you guys know that France is in absolute chaos right now?
I did not.
I knew France was in chaos because I had been following what was happening.
There we go. But Podlie, do you know why you don't know that?
Because I was listening to Depeche Mode.
Nothing is covered. Yeah. Nothing is covered. Yeah. Nobody's talking about it.
It's true.
Right? And I don't understand that. France is a pivotal region in Europe, right? Yep. So anyway, I digress.
James, sorry, that's Laura's comment. I meant to do
Leslie.
James is here with us. Hello, James. And he says, bring back Street Sense. Jonathan Torrance.
I never heard of it.
That was a show that
heard of it,
kind of
but I
that
never
thing.
watched
They
it.
reviewed
Okay,
products and that
cool.
kind of stuff.
I never watched it, didn't like it. Jonathan Torrance.
Marvin said he liked it as well. Tupperware is awesome. Laura said she got invited to a Tupperware party.
They still have those?
Nicole says that you're supposed to review the best Tupperware, Cliff.
Oh, there you go.
Better start researching.
Yeah.
And
Leslie says Tupperware ? Awesome.
But I think those, like you said, if you're researching, whether it be a product or a car or whatever it is that you're looking at, if it's something to purchase, for an example, but it could be something you're researching, a show or a podcast,
or a country.
Yeah, look for. Definitely start with the negative reviews. Don't go and read all the positives.
100%.
Because at that point you think, oh, this could be absolutely great, which it may not be. But if you read the negatives first, then you make your decision. See what James says? James says if you watch the Tour de France right now, you'd never know anything is wrong in France. They're going to hide it. 100% agree, James. Now, here's my problem, right? Just to go with what we've been talking about all this time. Just suppose for some reason I had booked a bucket list. I've always wanted to visit France my whole life since I could even know what France was. Just suppose I wanted to book a bucket list trip to France right now, and I was not informed because the media that I normally consume didn't tell me about it. I could be spending all my money on a bucket list trip to go to someplace that is in utter chaos. And we are actually, as a family, talking about going to France maybe next year. Right. So here's the other side of that. So you're not getting it from the media unless you really research it. Yeah. And do you think your travel company is going to tell you that? Not a chance. Because they want to make. They're going to tell you. By the way, this trip you're booking to France, you probably shouldn't do it right now because there is a whole bunch of chaos in France. Are they going to tell you that? No, they're not. Right. And this is what I mean about the rounded stories, and this is why I say. So now, a guy like me of my particular bent, if I were going to France
I wouldn't have been caught with this because I go to all the other independent media sources and try and because thank God the internet. See, I mean, 3-4 years ago, or 3-4 years ago, say 20 years ago, you only had 3 radio stations. What they told you was it.
Yeah.
Right. And now I think to myself, gee, I wonder how blinded we were then.
Yep.
Yeah. And here's one for you, Paul. When choosing your Tupperware, if you can see what James wrote there.
Get the most faulty sound out of your faulty sound out of your Tupperware. That's how you know how well it keeps things fresh.
I didn't know that.
Faulty,
I think I'm pretty much off Tupperware at this point.
Not faulty, but faulty.
And Marvin's talking about that big train derailment that happened, right? And
No.
Yeah, it basically you heard very little about it,
Very little
and then
about
like as Marvin says, then it disappeared.
You hit these little tiny cuts, right? You hit these little tiny catalog cuts. And what's funny is a lot of these places now, they'll start out with the story, but then when the story doesn't match the narrative, all of a sudden it's silent.
You know what we should do? We should hire a left wing, a right wing, and a middle, right? And have a radio show together. What do you think? That'd be great.
Or you can just have somebody who's not so goddamn biased.
That'd be nice.
And is just logical and just has an open mind.
Yeah. Instead of their own, itinerary.
Like, why does it have to be this left and right shit? I mean, let me tell you something. I've said this God knows how many times.
Left and right stuff, we wouldn't be in a lot of the turmoil we're in
right now. I've said this on this very podcast, God knows how many times. I don't think there's a single person on this planet that loves their kids any less than the next person.
True.
Right?
Right.
True.
If we start there and say, listen, I know Podlie loves his kids as much as Bill loves his kids, as much as I like my godchildren and all the other godchildren that I've had, and all my little nieces and nephews, I love them to bits.
Yeah.
So if we start with that premise and say, hey, listen, this world belongs to all of these kids.
Let's fix it.
Let's fix it. Let's make it the best world we can make it for all of these kids. Then we wouldn't have this. So, Podlie, while I respect your idea 100%, and in this environment, I agree with you, have somebody on the right, have somebody on the right, have somebody in the middle, and have a discussion. That's lovely. But I wish we didn't have to do that.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. And Laura
100%.
Made a comment here, which Leslie Ann responded to. If you have a personal travel agent, they won't send you to a place where there's turmoil. Well, Laura, I don't really fully agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with Leslie Ann if they are aware.
And Leslie says if they're aware, Laura, because those travel agents, they watch the same broadcast that we're talking about.
Yeah. And there are still travel agents out there that want to make money.
And
so they're not going to do anything until the country issues a travel advisory.
Yeah, if France were to come out and put some sort of travel, then they would probably be mandated. There's that word again to say something, right? But if nothing's being said, why would they tell you not to go to France?
Exactly. Yeah. See what Nicole says. She says, "Yes, I love the idea. Fix it for the kids."
100%.
I don't know why 100%. This is. I don't know why this is such a contentious idea. I don't understand. I mean, everybody loves their children.
Yeah. Here's and I've said this, I believe on the podcast, I've said this, facilitating my stuff for the government. You know why that is? Because people love to talk. They don't love to listen. People love to talk. They don't love to listen. That's,
Yeah. And everybody thinks and everybody thinks they know what's right for your kids.
100%.
Right?
100%.
I'm here to tell you, I don't know what's right for your kids. What I'd like for your kids is to have an option based on your parental judgment.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but this boy, and I know I'm sorry, I always do this. I guess I took it to a broader issue than the question, but you really have to go back in the questions and ask why. Because I know I don't listen to AM radio very often. When I do, it's talk radio. For music, I have a bunch of music on my phone. I go to Spotify if needed. And I have a massive amount of music that I like, and anything new. Hey man, I just bought the new Paul Simon record. I'm still buying records. So, but no, I don't go to music. I don't go to radio for music for the most part. And I no longer go to radio for news because there's no independent radio. It's all it's all owned by, well, right here, the whole thing is owned by Rogers and Shaw, and Global is Chorus. No, I don't know, whatever. Anyway,
Global is under Chorus.
Chorus.
Yeah, so Global is under Chorus, but then Chorus is under Rogers, and Rogers is under Shaw. I mean, it's all big one conglomerate. What they want to tell us, they're going to tell us, right? So they don't draw me in, not a guy like me. So then I go to independent media. So there's not a lot that I go to regular FM and AM stations for.
Right.
And there's no independent stations. So then it drives me to YouTube and Rumble and all these other stations.
And the other issue, even with FM radio, which has been an issue for years now, but again, and I'm using that word for like the third or fourth time, are mandated that they need to play certain songs a certain amount of times every hour on the hour, etc. So, yeah, you listen to, I'm just going to throw a Tragically Hip song for an example on a station, and an hour later,
19 times.
I just heard it again. The exact same song, just playing again an hour later.
Yeah, in a 24-hour cycle, you hear it 24 times.
Lunchtime again, there's that exact same song. I just heard that an hour and a half ago, whatever, right? And so there's no even lack of fun listening. Back in the old days, listening to radio, I would turn the radio on at night when I was a kid and listen to.
Dude, I used to go to sleep to the radio, AM radio.
Yeah, some of the talk shows. Whatever, because it was great to listen to, or the old radio stories, whatever, right? But now it's just
as a young person. Oh man, even in Saskatchewan, you used to turn on CHAB all night. And while you're sleeping, and it was awesome to wake up at 2 a.m, go get a glass of water, and your favorite song is on.
Yeah.
The stories that I used to hear from Jungle J Hamilton and Chris Love Mott, who's now in Toronto radio station, and they used to have so much fun, you guys, because you know what? Nothing was mandated. Nothing was mandated. They used to have an absolute blast, and if they had a blast, I remember Jay came in. He used to have a show called The Zoo. Remember that? The Zoo? He used to tell me he would come in at 2.3 minutes before the show started, flying, and that's how he did his whole show. Amped. I know. For 3 hours. You know why? Because he could do it. Because he wasn't mandated to do pre-show, and he wasn't mandated to get so many commercials, and he wasn't mandated to do 30% can.
He could bring out his personality.
He could do his personality. He can do his show. He can make a show. It's not like that anymore.
That's the way they used to be.
It's not like that anymore.
That's the way
it's they and because our well, they're not even jocks anymore. What do you call it? You can't call them personalities anymore. Hosts, I guess.
Yeah.
Since they're mandated now, they're not having as much fun. So because they're not having as much fun, we're not having as much fun. I'm out. I'm gone.
I'm gone. Yeah.
I'm gone.
Yeah, and they're tied into playing these long commercial runs now, and which used to be you'd get a commercial here and there, because even back in the day, of course, radio had to sell advertising, but it wasn't like today when you all of a sudden there's like 5 minutes worth of commercial one after the other after another. Well,
and then you have these advertisement information, like say, tune in to 6:30 Chad and learn about road deals, and then it's half an hour. I'm thinking, hey, I like road, I want to listen to that, and then you listen to it. It's not actually.
No.
It's a half an hour advertisement.
It's basically an ad,
right? So. Yeah,
and you get the old, thing from Chad. This is not, we don't agree, or
it's not necessarily the views.
Chad does not necessarily agree with the opinions expressed. Yeah. So we are almost into the encore of the podcast. How do we fix it?
I don't know.
How do we fix radio? How do we fix? Okay, first of all, let me ask you guys: is there a comeback for radio?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I agree, boys.
I think radio is run its course, and will slowly continue to lose stations. We'll continue to lose hosts.
Yep.
They'll go to AI, running the stations, etc. And podcasts, online radio, YouTube, all those type of things taken over. Spotify. So I think radio is definitely will never be as it was.
That's not to say that it can be. I just don't think it will be.
Yeah.
What does that sentence say? I can't read that.
Cliff's comment reminds me of an ancient Sting song. I hope the Russians love their children too. I wonder how much that song pressed into ending the Cold War.
100%. Leslie, huge Sting song. And between the ever amazing Ronald Reagan and the ever amazing I just lost it right at the tip of my tongue. Sorry, Gorbachev, Mikhail Gorbachev. They pretty much ended the Cold War, and that was amazing. So
yeah. I'm just looking down here. Nicole says, "LOL, encore." I thought you guys didn't. We did in episode 154, Nicole. We did do an encore.
Yeah, Nicole, but you weren't there, Nicole.
But you missed it.
And James G says there was a station in Calgary a couple of years ago that only played 1 minute of a song before moving on. That's crazy. Dude, that's crazy.
And now to completely alienate all of our listeners.
Podlie, to answer your question, I don't think so. But fact of the matter is they can if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
If today a radio station said to me personally, if the radio station said, hey, listen, we're gonna play a whole bunch of Canadian content. We're gonna play you new music so that you can explore and discover new music, maybe Canadian, maybe African, maybe whatever. But we're gonna dedicate some time to new music. We're gonna dedicate some time to old music, and every hour on the hour we're gonna give you news, but we're gonna give you news from all sides.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So,
for AM radio, they'd probably get me back.
So almost de-evolution.
Sure, back 20 years.
Back 20
Go
years.
back to what radio was like 20 years
30
ago.
years when we were kids.
Yep. And they'd probably get me back.
Yep. I agree. 500%.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know what the model is. What I don't understand, and maybe you guys can illuminate the situation. What do the radio stations want? If they don't want listeners, they're doing a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
If they want listeners, why are they not doing things that would bring listeners back?
Because it's not the radio stations that are running it, Cliff. It's the sponsors. It's the money.
Okay, but Podlie, if I want to sell this cell phone and I'm a sponsor and I want to sell this cell phone,
You want listeners.
I'm going to sponsor the station that has the most listeners.
Sure.
And in order to get the most listeners, what I'm saying is, why don't you give the people perhaps some level-headed stuff that's going to bring them back? Because I would love to listen to AM radio when I'm on the road, because AM radio is nice. I mean, there's something about AM radio for us old fogies. There's something about AM radio that is somewhat romantic, right?
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know, I can roll through the grand metropolis of Lloydminster and turn on 1050, and then I can roll through the grand metropolis of Saskatoon and turn on CBC 540, etc., and get a sort of a continuity across the country.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yep.
So if I would like that, I'm sure other people would like it as well. And it's within the power of the stations to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they?
I wish I had
Speechless.
I wish I had a comment to why they've gone this way, and will they? They're obviously not changing now.
Yeah, and for the record, you guys, I'm sure they're smarter than me in what they're doing. I just don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But and by the way, may I say now, there's never been any money in radio. I will say that. However, 30 years ago, there was a lot more money in radio.
Yeah, right.
Than
James.
there is now. So have something to say about that as well.
Yeah. I said if I want to sell the cell phone, and James said cell phone company already owns the radio station. I know, James. I know. It's just an example.
But yeah, you know, it's not going to change. I know we've talked about it, and I don't see it getting any better, or I think it's just going to be getting worse, and we'll continue to hear, you know, year after year radio stations here. And we have one of the biggest radio markets in Canada right here in Alberta per capita, with the amount of stations, et cetera, that we have. But I wouldn't be surprised to see another station or two drop off in the next, you know, year or two here.
Yeah,
where they're just gone.
Sir, if I may, it's actually a statistic. Edmonton has the single biggest single most radio stations per capita in Canada.
That's awesome. Yeah, Lesley-Ann just pegged that. Just put that on the thing there. I think Lesley-Ann just pegged a good comment right there.
Mm-hmm. Special interest groups interfere with the sponsors who
interfere with the station. With the station.
100%.
There you go.
100%. Podlie and Lesley-Ann, you're both right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
There seems to be some discussion that some people didn't hear you do the middle of the podcast, which he did do that.
I did.
Yes, he did.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. There's the
If you guys had any dedication or commitment to listening to the podcast.
So when we're done here at 9:01, you have to rewind back to
about the
8:28.
Yeah.
No, 30. Yeah,
No,
33.
33 minutes into the
Yeah, I
podcast.
was late, so
I know, but I'm giving her an extra 5 minutes of good pod.
there we go. I take full responsibility.
Yeah, it's sad. I went into the wrong industry, Bill.
Yeah.
And people are still going in this. The part down.
I don't get that.
Unless,
Can you elaborate on that, Bill?
unless, like I said, I
don't get it.
I don't know about the kids taking the radio broadcast portion of it. There still are television jobs out there, that they can get into.
Yeah.
But that's
That's dying
even
fast.
that's
Hey,
changing.
look at man. CNN currently gets less by a massive margin viewership than individual shows like Tucker Carlson and what's that other woman's name? And then even Rogan, I guess. And these guys are huge. They get like 12 million people, 12 million views, right? Where CNN, some of their top broadcasts are getting 350,000.
Mhm.
And this is in the States. So I think television is are they on the cusp? I don't know.
Well, they're struggling. Networks are struggling.
Yeah.
When things even like the streaming services, Netflix, etc., started coming out.
Well,
Yeah,
do you have
right?
cable at your
That's
house?
what I heard as
Do you
well.
have cable?
I haven't had cable since 2012.
We have
There you go.
satellite.
There you go.
But
There you go.
Yeah, I haven't had cable since 2012, and then I Shaw Cable because I had internet, and they said, "Oh, we have this basic program, blah blah blah. If you want TV." And I think maybe the soccer games were on or something, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, maybe okay."
Yep.
And I took it for that deal that they had, and at the end of the deal, I
Cancel
canceled it because it was I wasn't watching it anyway.
Nicole, there's now looks like a little bit of an argument going on about this middle of the podcast. So Laura says, "No excuse, Nicole. There's no dedication." Well, and Nicole says it was on, and I was commenting, and Leslie Ann's apologizing basically. No, that's all totally good, Nicole. And Nicole's, I have complete dedication.
Nicole, apparently you have complete dedication from 8:31 on. Nicole,
Ollie.
you have complete dedication from 8:31 on, Nicole.
And Leslie Ann says, yes, he didn't realize who he was dissing. Nicole, allow me to apologize for you on his behalf.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, you guys. I think independent media is here to stay. And even that in independent media right now, the cream is rising to the top. So there will be a lot leaving the bottom, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But independent media is not going anywhere. For instance, YouTube, the more they censor people are going to a company called Rumble. And Rumble is growing in leaps and bounds.
Correct.
And YouTube will, unless they change their policies, they will diminish accordingly. But yeah, anyway, thank you for showing up, you guys. It's about 45 seconds. Just want to tell you, it's been a fun podcast. I haven't been here in a number of weeks now, and it's good to be back. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll tell you, as we normally say between the three of us, we love having you guys here. It wouldn't be worth doing this podcast if it wasn't for your interaction and fun. So thank you. And if you happen to miss it,
you can tune in to the audio portion on soundsugarradio.com Friday nights at 10 p.m. And of course, go right back to our YouTube channel because this will be there. So you can go back and watch the full replay
with the comments
as well. So if you missed a comment and wanted to go back and see that, you can and do that. And make sure, again, to subscribe. Make sure to go to this and hit the thumbs up button so you like it. And we want to continue to build our subscribers as well.
And by the way, soundsugarradio.com is the only radio station that you should listen to.
There we go. And hey, speaking of which, Podlie, just a quick plug.
Yes.
These guys right here are doing their program just prior to the Podlie podcast on Monday nights.
6:30 to 7:30.
6:30 to 7:30.
And we'll actually be at the Park Center Hotel this Saturday. If anybody's dropping by from 10 to 1, we're doing a remote broadcast from there. So, and we'll give you a good roundabout section of the Park Center. We won't just narrow it down and tell you one thing. It won't be just a narrow newscast. We will open it up.
Hey, room by room.
An all-encompassing idea of what it's like.
We encompass, baby.
There you go. We encompass, baby.
All right, everybody. next week, episode 156. We will see you all then.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Stay happy.
And we're still having technical difficulties here tonight, people.
That's like,
We have an extra, but it doesn't want to play.
so I repeat, stay happy.
Stay.
And